Hey crew, it's Pit. I'm back with another reaction video. Today we're going to be getting back into the Buddy Brown. This is part 2 of the Don't Ever Apologize for Being a Man. And we're just going to dig in. Let's go.
Y'all come with me. So last year I did a video called Don't Ever Apologize for Being a Man. I still ain't apologizing, and neither should you. It's probably the only video I've ever done that was in the snow. It's pretty cold that day, but the cool thing about that video is we had more emails and more folks emailing in, especially women too, just applauding everything that was in that, and it really felt really great to me, and people saying, hey, could you go deeper, could you elaborate? I'm like, how much time you got? Okay, this is something I'm very passionate about. As y'all know, I live in boyland. I got 2 boys, and I take their journey to manhood extremely serious. I don't want them learning about manhood through Hollywood or their liberal teachers or men who have not acquired the skills yet to call themselves, a spiritual and physical guide in their journey to manhood. The reason I think Hank Jr.'s song, Country Boy Can't Survive, resonates so much with us is because as Americans, we started out, think about how we started out. We started out as trappers and hunters and fishermen, and those skills were passed down to our boys. And our heroes were Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone. And the Industrial Revolution came along, and the boys all took jobs in factories. All of a sudden, they're making stuff, and their dads were not passing down those outdoor skills that they used to back in previous generations. That got watered down. I remember stories of my granddad and some of his friends in his generation. They would tell us, and just hearing this, and some of you really young folks, this might blow your mind, but they took shotguns to school.
We did too. And my senior year of high school, it was still okay. I'm not sure when they changed the law or whatever. Like, we had guns in the vehicles at my high school.
A lot of
and nobody ever got shot. Nobody.
You older fellas, you probably did as well. They took shotguns to school, and with the hopes of maybe shooting a pheasant on the way home, a duck, a squirrel, a rabbit,
Deer.
Something that could provide meals for their family later on that day. It's like we tell our boys these days, the world is a scary place, so Daddy's just going to pave the way for you. When we should be telling our boys, the world is absolutely a terrifying place. So I need to count on you. Give them little stuff from a very, very early age.
Opportunities to excel. Opportunities for trust. Those are important in developing your children. Not just raising your children, but developing your children into good people.
And say, I need to count on you to get that done. The pride they're going to feel when they get it done, there's no replacing it, y'all. It's incredible. One day their wives are going to be counting on them, aren't they? For a whole lot more than just finances. Now, right out here, this past weekend, I took my 2 boys, my brother-in-law and my nephew, to hunt camp. My 12-year-old Sam and I sat up here in the honey hole blind, and Wyatt, my 11-year-old, guided my brother-in-law and my nephew way back to the very back of the property. It's a 35-minute walk. Now, it was a new moon outside. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And it was the blackest night I'd probably ever seen in my entire life. But it's a 36, 37-minute walk just to get back there, if you're making a pretty good pace. And
that's a good distance.
My little man, he guided every step of the way. There's one point in the turn, if you turn left, if you go left instead of right, it's a 40-foot drop. You got 2 broken legs. They had to trust him every step of the way. He got them to the blind. When they sat down and deer started coming into the field, he said, no, those are small. There's gonna be bigger ones. And lo and behold, there was. He knew their behavior. He knew the size. My nephew shot that deer, ran about 70, 80 yards, and they couldn't find the blood trail. Guess who found it? This is where I got a proud dad moment here, because I taught my son what to look for in a blood trail. He's the one that found it. He's a little bloodhound boy. And so he was a complete guide all the way start to finish. There's millions and millions of men in America right now that couldn't do what Wyatt did this weekend. And it ought to bother them to the core. It ought to keep them up at night. It ought to make them feel incomplete and sick to their stomach. I think millions of men are pissed off right now and they don't even know why, and I'll tell you why. It's because the Lord has set up an order for men to follow. But out of convenience and grocery stores and all kinds of other things, we've just gotten watered down. We're pissed off because we're not following the order anymore. Because modern times doesn't let you unless you fight for it. It's not going to be handed to you. You've got to go out in the woods and fight for it. Even if it's just camping, even if it's little stuff. If you don't live out here in a place like I live, you can find it, I promise you. But you're going to have to fight for it. What I notice is a lot of guys will watch videos online and they think they're experts. You know, what they turn into is an internet expert. That don't mean diddly squat unless you come out here and you do it for real. Come out here, you're going to know how to do it. Humble yourself and find an older man, maybe from the Vietnam generation. Say, I don't know how to do this, and ask him how to show you. He'll show you. We skinned and gutted and quartered 2 deer this weekend. I taught my boys how to drop a pine.
I taught my uncle how to do that in high school. My senior year of high school, he called me up. He said, Jeremy, I got a deer. I need you to come help me skin it up. I was like, all right, Uncle Gene, I'm going to come over there and do that. So I came over, and he had the deer hanging the wrong way. He had the deer hanging like this with his head up. I was like, Uncle Gene, what you doing? He said, well, we fixing to skin this here deer. I was like, Uncle Gene, you doing it wrong. But I never have in my life. So I flipped the deer around. I did a little wide cut and I just skin it on out like that. But I ain't never seen no shit like that in my life. He was a coon ass. He talked with a heavy Cajun accent. That's funny stuff.
Pine tree and make a notch with a chainsaw just right so I could drop that pine tree on a bullseye just where I told him it was going to drop. I taught him you don't make a fire, you build a fire. I taught them about love. I taught them to honor their mother. I taught them to never talk bad about girls at school. They got enough to go through. Worrying about are they pretty enough and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of pressure being a little girl right now these days for whole different reasons. I called out their BS where I saw it, and I called out their successes 10 times harder and louder. And I encouraged them. I told them I believe in them and that there's nothing they can't do. And that I'm going to be right here for them as long as God gives me breath in my lungs. What a world it could be if we really held manhood in the same esteem that the
raising men
pioneers did.
And women.
The way of living is not lost, y'all, but a lot of men are. And part of being a real man is not being a loner and being the only one who knows how to do cool stuff to impress your friends. Part of being a real man is knowing how to do that stuff and passing it on to the younger generation who needs to learn how to do it. All this I'm talking about just sounds completely natural to me, y'all. But if this sounds too hardcore for you, start out small. Carry a pocket knife everywhere you go. Quit putting cream and sugar in your coffee. You don't need it.
Hey now, I like my cream. I don't use sugar. I use cream and honey.
Wake up 30
The honey helps with my allergies, and I just like the taste of the cream.
minutes earlier. Quit being non-confrontational and say what needs to be said, or you're going to resent yourself for the rest of your life.
That's true.
Care about other people.
I do tend to say things. Sometimes I probably shouldn't say things, but I don't bite my tongue.
And what they're going through is if you were going through them as well. Remember that your marching orders do not come from Washington, D.C. They come from above. And lastly, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. Acknowledge Him always, and He will make your path straight. God bless y'all. Be good.
We're going to let it play on out. You know how we do. Y'all make sure you get back over to Buddy Brown's page. Give him a like, give him a share, give him a sub. Throw him a comment down below. Let him know you support what he's doing. It's a hard road for these independent artists. They need all the help that you can give. When you click on the link down below, on the way down there, there's a pinned comment. Leads to my alternatives. Not everything I do gets put on YouTube. If you want to see the slightly racy stuff, the controversial stuff, the conspiracy theory stuff, you have to go over there. This was great. This is truth. We need more people raising men. Now, that does not mean that we need more stereotypical, I am the man's man kind of stuff. He got into a little bit of that, and there's more flexibility there than most people realize. You should absolutely be a man. You should absolutely stand up for what is right, but you don't have to get into every fight. You shouldn't. You should lead your household, but you don't need to be domineering to do so. Like things like that. Oh, but to be a good, healthy, masculine male, and to teach your children how to be a good, healthy, masculine male is a good thing. Even if you don't know how to hunt or to fish, you can still teach your child to be a masculine male. This was great stuff, buddy Brian. I appreciate it. This is good stuff. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you've been here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. This has been Pet's Take. Peace.